Hello everyone, welcome to Learn C. Today we're discussing C program to concatenate two strings and print the uncommon characters. Let me introduce myself. I'm Manogna, studying first year BTech CSC in SVCW Autonomous, Bhimavaram. My register number is 597. I was guided by Dr. M. Prasad, Associate Professor in Department of CSC, SVCW Autonomous, Bhimavaram. Let's look at the contents of the video. First one is problem statement, and next understanding the problem statement. Third one is algorithm to solve the problem. Fourth one is code, and fifth is output and checking the working of code. Let us look at the problem statement first. We have to find the resultant string after concatenating uncommon characters of a given string. Let the given two strings are S1 and S2, and our task is to concatenate uncommon characters of S2 to S1 and return the resultant string S1. Now the requirements of user are, in the first example, the first string is AACDB and the second string is GAFD. The uncommon characters are CBGF. So the output would be CBGF. In the second example, S1 is ABCS and S2 is CXZCA. So the output would be PSXZ. Next, the algorithm. We start the algorithm, enter void main with a function name concatenate uncommon characters with char s1, char s2 so that it takes the two strings. We declare I, j, result of 1000, temp of 1000, k is equal to 0 and l is equal to 0. Then we start nested for loop I is equal to 0 to string length s1 step by 1 which is increment by 1 and declare flag is equal to 0. And then the second for loop j is equal to 0 to string length s2 and increment by 1. We then use an if condition. If element in s1 is equal to s2 element, we set the flag variable to 1, apply break and end the inner loop. And again we use another if condition. If flag is equal to 0, character is added to the result array, index is incremented by 1 and then we end the outer loop. We use another nested for loop I is equal to 0 to string length s2 increment by 1 and declare flag is equal to 0. The second for loop j is equal to 0 to string length temp increment by 1. And again we use two if conditions. If comparing element in s2 is equal to the temp element, we set the flag value to 1, apply break and end the inner loop. If flag is equal to 1, we continue the outer loop. We start our final for loop I is equal to 0 to string length s1 increment by 1. We use this for loop to compare s2 elements to the s1 elements. Start the if block having condition. If comparing element of s2 is equal to s1 elements, we set the flag variable to 1, apply break and end the inner loop. If flag is equal to 0, store the element to the result and increment the index with 1. We end the outer loop and print the result. Finally, we give the strings s1 and s2 using int main and call the concatenate uncommon characters function. Let's have a look at the final code. Firstly, we include the necessary header files stdio.h and string.h. Next, we name the function void concatenate uncommon characters and char s1 s2 so that the string take two input strings. Next, we declare int I and int j for iterating the loop, char result array to store the final output, char temp array to store the characters of s2 that have already been checked. We also declare k is equal to 0 and l is equal to 0 to keep track of the index in result and temporary arrays. Now we start a nested for loop to check each character of s1 to s2. We create a flag variable and set it to 0. If the elements are equal, which is we found the element in the s2, we break the loop by setting flag is equal to 1 and end the inner loop. But what if we do not find the element? If flag is equal to 0, current character of s1 is not found in s2. Then it is added to the result array and the result array variable k is incremented by 1. We write this in the code as result k++ is equal to s1 of I. If you look at the example where S1 is AACDB and S2 is GAFD, A is found in S2 but C is not found. So C is added to the result array. In the same manner, B is also added to the result array. Then we start another nested for loop to check each character of S2 to temp, that is, to check if it is already in temporary array. If it is already checked, we break the inner loop using flag concept. We set the flag variable value to 1. We can see this in the program as s2 of I equal to temp of I. That is, we already checked the element like A and D in the example. The next if condition in the outer loop, that is, if flag equal to 1, that is, we didn't check the character before, so we continue the loop. After we close this loop, we continue checking process with string 1. In the last for loop, as we can see, gf are compared with string 1. If g, f are found in string 1, we break the inner loop using flag, setting flag variable to 1. As we can see in the program, in the if condition, s2 of I equal to s1 of j. If they are not found, that is, if flag equal to 0, we add the g, f to the result array and print the result array. Lastly, we declare the two strings s1 and s2 using main function and we call the concatenate uncommon chars function. So the output of this program should be CBGF. Now if we look at the second example, the only change is in the declaring the strings, which is last main block, and the whole program is the same. And the output of this program should be BSXjet. So the final output of first program is CBGF and the second program is BSXjet as we saw in the program. That means our code is working and that is the end of our program.